welcome to our induction videos for Georges River Life Church and Georges River Life Care. My name is Sophie Brodie and I'm the Generations Pastor here. And let me say on behalf of all the staff, how excited we are that you are keen to serve and be part of the ministry we do here. Whether you are new or you've been serving for many years, we know this year you're going to be a blessing to so many, but also it's going to have a great impact on you as you love, care and serve in the way of Jesus. This video is our general induction and is therefore for everyone who is serving across both sites and life care. To fill your yearly requirement of doing this general induction, you'll also be required to do a short online quiz to let us know you understand this information. If you are new to serving at GRLC, you'll also be required to do a ministry screening questionnaire and a code of conduct. There are 3 kinds of code of conduct depending on what role you'll be doing: a serve level, leader level, and a life care code of conduct. Please ensure you fill out the right one that your ministry leader has sent you. This general video induction is to be completed annually, alongside a conversation you'll have with your ministry leader and team, where they'll give you any information that's particular to your ministry. For example, the guidelines of how to run a small group at youth or how to appropriately handle the sound gear won't be addressed here, but will be by your ministry teams and ministry leader. So if some of the questions aren't answered in this video, it's likely because your ministry leader will go through it with you, but it wouldn't hurt to pop down those questions so you can bring them to them. In this video, we'll be looking at what Safe Church is, why it is important, our Safe Church policy here and the supporting documents, some important things to consider for work, health and safety, who to go to if you have a complaint, feedback or ongoing conflict, and also a revision of why we have our code of conducts. So let's start. So what is Safe Church? See, Safe Church refers to the Safe Churches framework that has been created by the Baptist Association alongside other church denominations in response to the 10 Child Safe Standards. The Child Safe Standards are from the Office of the Children's Guardian and are the main product from the government's Royal Commission into the institutional responses to child abuse in 2013. With support from the Baptist Association, GRLC have adopted a Safe Church policy that outlines this framework and how it impacts the way we are going to function as a church and a community service so we can do all that is required of us by the government. So let's quickly go through it now together. Our Safe Church policy outlines our commitment as a church to provide places, services and programs that promote physical, emotional and spiritual health and safety and model the love of Christ to all who we have contact with, particularly children, young people and vulnerable adults. So as you can see, this is not just about children, but it is about everyone. Our Safe Church policy can be found on our website under the About and Policies and Guidelines tab. We ask that you read through that Safe Church policy yourself, as it is an overarching document that points to all the other procedures and documents you can see on that webpage too. Our Safe Church policy is for everyone who attends our church and its programs, but is most importantly for the leadership, staff, and volunteers. So in order to adopt the Child Safe Standards, we must commit to the following things which are outlined in our policy. The first is to provide spaces, programs, and relationships that are safe for our young people. So this is particularly going to affect our ministries that are child-related, like River Kids, Youth and Arts Life, but it's also about our whole church as we seek to create a culture that ensures young people and vulnerable adults in our community have a voice and have input to what we do here. Number 2 is that we have a thorough process to screen, induct, resource and train our staff and volunteers. That's what we're doing now, and the full procedure can be found on our website under that Volunteering at GRLC tab. The third is that we have a clear process for dealing with conflict, complaints, incidents, and concerns. Fourth is that we have safe physical but also online environments. Number 5, that we undergo appropriate risk assessment of our programs, ministries, and events. Number 6 is that our third parties and affiliated entities like Lifecare also comply with our framework. Number 7 is that we are diligent with our record keeping. By law, we actually must keep records of all our forms, attendance, training, and complaints for 45 years. So we commit to doing that in the best practice in a safe and secure manner. And 8 is that we commit to keeping accountable to the Baptist Association, as well as reporting anything that's required to us to other agencies and the government. So you've heard me mention it already, creating safe environments. Let's look at what that means. Work health safety is ultimately about creating safe environments. So here is what you need to know about the area of work health safety. A is for that all staff and volunteers are responsible for ensuring the health and safety of people on site at GRLC. It is everyone's responsibility. So what does that mean for you? It means reporting hazards and incidents to eliminate risk. A hazard is something that has the potential to harm us, our church, and even our building. Hazards could be chemicals, scissor lifts, a cord on the ground, or even inappropriate behaviour. An incident is when an event has happened that has caused injury or exposes a person to a serious risk. This includes near misses. And a risk is the chance of something happening that will have a negative effect. People being injured, financial loss, and the reputation of our organisation are all examples of this. So as a staff and volunteers at GRLC, we are wanting to remove and reduce the risk of hazards as much as possible so we have as little incidents as possible. So if you see something that is not safe, you can and you should do something about it. Either remove that hazard if it's safe to do so, like a chair in a doorway, or speak to your ministry leader. If a hazard exists that can't be dealt with immediately, or an incident has occurred, you'll be required to fill out an incident report with your ministry leader. If you are in the Life Centre, these are found under the first aid kits that are located in every kitchen and look like this. If you are anywhere else, your ministry leader will have these. And once you've done that together, your ministry leader will pass it on to the appropriate people. E. Now this one has 2, emergency evacuation and equipment. It is very important that you know what to do in the case of an emergency evacuation because of something like a fire. At the Life Centre, we have an alarm, and it will be sounded if there is a fire or a threat. If you hear that alarm, you need to stop what you're doing, sit down, and wait for instruction. A pastor or a fire marshal wearing a bright yellow vest will come around to group people. Now, if that alarm change sounds, it means we need to evacuate by the nearest fire escape, marked by the green signs, to make our way to our emergency assembly place, which is outside the sugar factory, against the gate and down the driveway. This is also marked with a green sign. It's important we don't waste some time by collecting our possessions, and we need to do our best to stay calm and leave the building in an orderly way. In the case of an obstruction, follow the instructions of one of our pastors or fire marshals to make sure they take you to another safe meeting place. If you are in any other building, like perhaps our Chipping Norton site, your ministry leader will brief you of the emergency exits on the day of serving or in your ministry induction for the year. The second E is equipment. There are lots of different equipment located in our church or in the other buildings we use for ministry, and we ask that you do not use equipment that you have not been shown or trained how to use. If you know how to use a piece of machinery or technical equipment from work or home, you still need to ask your ministry leader before using it here at church and return it back to its right place and condition. At the Life Centre, we also have safety equipment that you need to be aware of, such as defibrillators for first aid emergencies that are located in the small auditorium, and fire extinguishers. If you need to use these, there are instructions located near them to help you. At the Life Centre, our first aid kits are located in all kitchens and are marked for you. If it is safe for you to do so, please ask your ministry leader before using them. If you are outside or in another building, your ministry leader will let you know where the mobile first aid kit is. A is for assessment of risk. Staff and ministry leaders are responsible for creating risk assessments for each ministry, program, and special event. Each risk assessment is about removing or reducing the likelihood of risks and the consequence of those risks. And in order to do that, certain strategies or control measures are put in place. For example, the car park on Sundays can be a place of risk as a person could get hit by a car. While the likelihood of that is low, the consequence of that happening is high. To reduce that risk, one of our control measures is that we have car park attendants in brightly coloured vests to help guide people where to drive and walk, and we ensure river kids are signed out by their parents. So, while it is the ministry leader's role to create risk assessments for your ministry, your job is to know what those risks are and what control measures have been put in place, because you are likely to be involved in implementing them. So that is some important things to know in the area of work health safety. Just a couple more for you to remember. If your role involves food handling, we have a policy that's found on that same webpage I showed you before, and you'll be required to sign a food handling agreement. We also need to keep all the fire exits clear in any room or building we are using. They need to have a 1 metre clearance at all times, so please do not leave objects obstructing them. Messy rooms or dirty areas are also a hazard, so let's do our best to keep our spaces as clean as possible. And your ministry leader will go through any extra procedures based on your ministry's risk assessment. So that was the what and why of our Safe Church framework and information on our work health safety practices. Now let's look at our Safe Church document suite. As mentioned earlier, you can find our Safe Church document suite on our website through our homepage, About, and then our policies and guidelines. These are supporting documents and policies that make adopting our Safe Church framework possible, which is all about creating safe environments for everyone. Physical environments, yes, but also emotional and spiritual, which has got to do with relationships. So we now want to focus on our procedure for dealing with relational conflict, complaints, and child protection concerns, as it's important that you know who to go to in your context if these things occur. Conflict will happen, sometimes big, sometimes small, and it's not always a bad thing. But there are ways to deal with it that are best practice. We want anyone to feel that they can raise an issue if they see one. So if you are, or someone has shared with you that you are in some sort of conflict that falls in the category of a disagreement, an offence, or perception of bullying, then we encourage you, when suitable, to speak to that person directly. You might want to seek counsel before you do that, or go with someone to support you in that conversation. However, if you do not feel comfortable to do that, or you've tried and it wasn't very successful, please talk to your ministry leader or small group leader to assist you in resolving the conflict, which could involve including others if required. If the issue is more serious and involves a person who is a volunteer or staff member who has breached their code of conduct, therefore it's in relation to their character, lifestyle, and the way they fulfill their ministry role, then you can chat to your ministry leader or chat to our site pastors. Our site pastors are Matthew Gray for Chipping Norton and Lara Watson and Jasmine Round for Peakhurst. Ben Roosen is also our lead pastor who leads our team. They are available for you, and you can get all the staff members' contact details on the website. If for any reason you do not feel comfortable to speak to one of our staff, or the complaint is actually about them, you can see our church leadership team, or CLT. Our CLT act as a governing board and is made up of 5 to 10 GRLC partners that are not staff. They are available to you to speak to in regards to a complaint or any questions that you might have. Their main role is to oversee the overall conduct of our church, the strategic direction, and ensure the church complies with law, regulations, and set policy, and that we steward well our church resources. Our CLT for this year is Margaret Thompson, David Cito, Bruce Stevenson, Peter Abrahams, Jan Reardon, Nick Karanikas, and Karen Hewitt. And finally, if you have a complaint or information that is about a child protection matter, please see me, Sophie Brodie. This is not just for those in child-related ministries, as children and young people are an active part of all we do here. It's important that if you hear anything about harm that has happened to a child, even if it was a long time ago, or you have information that concerns you that they might be at risk of significant harm, please come forward. If your complaint is about the actions of a volunteer or staff member towards a child or young person, whether it be here at church or elsewhere, please also speak to me, Sophie. Again, if you're not comfortable to come to me or another staff member, or the complaint is about them, you can chat to someone in the CLT. So in case you missed it, here's a summary. If there's a conflict between staff, volunteers, or church members, speak to that person directly or tell your ministry leader. If the complaint is about a serious breach of a volunteer or staff member's code of conduct, please speak to your ministry leader or site pastor. If the complaint is related to child abuse and protection, please speak to me. And if you do not feel comfortable talking to staff or the complaint is about them, you can speak to the CLT. All the contact details are on our website. This process of dealing with conflict and complaint is outlined in more detail in our Guide to Complaint Management, where we have included a handy guide to help you know the process and who to speak to if you want to refer back to it. While we don't expect you to know it all or remember this, you can remember the right information can be found in our Safe Church document suite.
Hi, I'm Ben Roosen, the lead pastor here at Georges River Life Church, and thanks for taking the time to watch our general induction video. Now you have 2 new steps, or next steps from here. First is to complete the short quiz that goes with this video. The second is to read your code of conduct. Just a reminder that we have 3 different kinds of code of conducts, depending on the role you are volunteering in. If you are new to volunteering at GRLC, you will need to sign that code of conduct through our online form. If you have served before, welcome back. We ask that you reread the PDF version. Link below to refresh your mind to the commitment you have made. Our code of conduct is about honouring the fact that you are a representative of our church and or life care, and have influence over others in your role. Therefore, your behaviour as a leader is instrumental in us upholding our safe church policy and our commitment to creating safe environments for everyone we come into contact with. It is important that you read it carefully as you fill it out, as by filling it out and signing it, you are saying that you agree and commit to all that was stated and will be held accountable to them in your serving team. If you're unsure of any statement in this code, what it exactly means, or you feel that you can't commit to one, please don't let that become a barrier from you serving without letting someone know. Come and talk to your prospective ministry leader or a staff member that you feel comfortable with, who I'm sure would love to have coffee with you and chat it all out. Thanks again for taking the time, and we are praying for you as you volunteer with us this year.